innovator, strategist, and transformation architect, Mr. Krishnakumar Kottekkat.
If you step back and think on the technical side, what goes in a data center, your server, compute and storage got converged. So everything was convergence of technology, your business and technology converged.
Wow, wonderful. I love how you connected the spark to real transformation. And it's rare for a leader to talk about that phase so honestly.
Ethics, governance and transparency are three key elements that it has to be imbibed into the DNA of every organization.
Hey everyone, welcome back to FaceTime with Leaders, powered by Directors Institute World Council of Directors. I'm Charu Mehra, and today we are diving into a world where technology meets transformation. A space where innovation isn't just a buzzword, it's a way of building the future. Now, when we talk about digital transformation or cybersecurity, most people picture servers, dashboards, or perhaps a few blinking firewalls. But behind every successful transformation, there's a mind orchestrating the impossible, blending business strategy with deep technology foresight. Our guest today is exactly that kind of a mind, a true innovator, strategist, and transformation architect. He is Mr. Krishnakumar Kottekkat, a business technology leader with over 25 years of experience driving digital transformation, cybersecurity, and large-scale IT modernization across the Middle East, Europe, and Asia. From building sports technology ecosystems at Aspire Zone in Qatar to leading digital and cybersecurity initiatives at ConnectSecure and Intaleq in the UAE. Mr. Kottekkat had turned complex visions into real measurable impact. He's pioneered smart city frameworks, led Oracle ERP implementations, championed cloud and data-driven strategies, and helped shape how technology powers entire nations' infrastructure. But beyond the titles and tech, what sets him apart is his ability to turn transformations into human stories, stories of innovation, collaboration, and resilience. Mr. Kottekkat, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on FaceTime with Leaders. How are you doing today?
Charu, thank you so much for that detailed introduction. It did sound good actually for me. I'm happy to be here to talking to you about my journey through this technology roadmap. So it's nice to be on board. Thank you once again for having me today to discuss. Thank you.
It is all deserved, sir, and it's so wonderful to have you here. So let's get started.
Sure, let's get started.
Okay.
I'm ready.
So every leader's journey that has that one defining spark, a moment where curiosity becomes purpose. Mr. Kottekkat, you've spent more than 2 decades shaping technology landscapes. But if we rewind the clock a bit, where did it all begin? We'd love to hear about your career journey.
Sure, Char. I think it's more than, you definitely have a spark where you start from. Then it's all turns. It's all turns as you evolve in your career over a period of time,
Right.
how you make the next move to reach where you want to. I think that's been the journey. So as usual, as a regular mid-70s born individual, you graduate, you complete your 12th, you have a passion towards technology, you end up doing your engineering, and when you're fresh out of college, you've never heard, when you graduate in 96, 97, you have never heard what transformation is, what cloud is. I mean,
Yes,
those are words that have come over a period of time. All you know is you are an engineer, you have to fix something that's wrong. I mean, so that's gone wrong, you have to fix it and make it running. So
right.
Since the college days, I had a passion towards technology. I was a gadget gizmo boy. I used to open up whatever I find at home, like radios, tape recorders, and my dad has to go and get them fixed. But over a period of time, I mastered that art of fixing it by myself by the 12. But during my college days, I used to spend a lot of time in the lab, technology labs and all that. And finally, I ended up as a part of the campus placement, ended up in a German software firm. At that time, Y2K was the big thing. I mean, so I ended up as a software developer in on mainframes. And somehow or the other, I did not feel that that's what I should be doing. So slowly, I got an opportunity to shift into the infrastructure side of mainframes,
Oh,
meaning the connectivity, the VSAT. At that time, VSAT connectivity with the German company and all that. I started monitoring and maintaining that, and that would probably be my first step to the hardware and the technology side or the infrastructure side, so as to say. I mean, it was not called infrastructure at that time; it was called hardware.
hmm.
So from there, in my next job, I was given an opportunity to lead a department that drives infrastructure and networking for a company, and that was my first move
Okay.
into the networking and infrastructure field. Slowly after that, I did my MBA, came back and joined IBM. IBM, I was auditing this infrastructure for security and compliance, so that added the cybersecurity element to it.
Okay.
And so as we evolved, what I saw was, over a period of time, 2 to 3 years in that role, monotony started setting in and you started getting into the comfort zone.
Right.
So that was not working well for me. I wanted to do something different. I wanted to that comfort zone. I in a way, I feel that, if you get into your comfort zone, that hinders growth. You cannot grow in your career. So I had to break that monotony. And also, you started thinking the sense of purpose. I mean, why are we doing it? What are we doing it? And that's when the opportunity to work with Aspire
Right.
Zone came. It was a totally new field. Technology in sports was unheard of in 2008. All technology that we knew was scoreboards and your cameras that you place on the where it was totally different domain. So I took that challenge and moved to Aspire Zone, and that I think was my so as to say, the where I stepped foot into a transformation projects,
Right.
started doing real transformation projects, both organizational and technology transformation. So moving to Aspire Zone as a part of their IT team to drive the entire transformation consolidation, I think is the real spark that has led me to reach here with the foundations that I learned from earlier stage. So the constant learning and the constant urge to learn and the sense of purpose kicked in from there.
Right, right. Wow, wonderful. I love how you connected the spark to real transformation. And it's rare for a leader to talk about that phase so honestly. And the way you described the challenges that you faced and the way you wanted to come out of your comfort zone. Not many people are ready to and looking forward to coming out of their comfort zone. People become complacent and they sort of start liking being in that
No,
space
yeah, yeah.
where
So
things are
that's
so
what
certain.
I will always go by the saying that learn as long as you can, learn as much as you can. So that's
Absolutely.
been my driving factor. So
Absolutely.
that's why even if you look at the last career move when I moved to ConnectSecure, that was after the FIFA delivery. I mean, FIFA was a major thing. We delivered I was leading a company that delivered the technology for all the 8 stadiums for FIFA. So after FIFA was over, everything was on autopilot. There was nothing new to do. Things were already in motion. So then I said, okay, it's time to move on, or else you get comfortable in that zone and you sit there. So
Right,
that
right.
so that's
Absolutely.
been. I mean, it's like the Rolling Stone. You just keep on rolling
The
as long
way
as
they
you
say
can.
that, yeah, I mean, the way they say that still water becomes dirty and running water is always fresh. So it's like
Absolutely,
philosophy here. So
absolutely,
wonderful. So
absolutely.
thank you for sharing your journey with us.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So, Mr. Kottekkat, you were instrumental in shaping Aspire Zone's Center of Excellence in Sports Technology, which went to become a global benchmark. What was the big idea behind that vision? And how did you turn a sports complex into a living digital ecosystem that the world now studies as a case example?
All right, Charu, thanks so much for that question. I think it's always amusing how people start thinking, what has technology got to do with sports, other than the scoreboards and the camera visions, what you
Right.
see. But there is so much more. I mean, it was also a learning experience in 2008 when I came from IT service provider industry, where I was working with IBM, and I moved to this industry. So just to give you a slight background, there was already a vision from the nation side. As Qatar, Doha, they had a vision to be a reference in sports. That's where
Right.
it trickled down from. And Aspire Zone was a semi-government entity. They were establishing an organization, and they wanted technology to be the enabler that would make them a center of excellence and a reference in the world. So that was very clear from the country's leadership as well as the leadership of Aspire. So
Right.
with the CIO and the CTO, then the CTO who came on board, we built a complete entire transformation. And when I say transformation, it's not just the stadiums, because Aspire also had sports training and sports medical facilities, which are world class. I mean, the sports medical facilities that we were supporting were FIFA accredited and all that.
Right.
So no, the challenge there was it was the same technology. Okay, the technology is the same, whether it's sports or medical. The technology are few boxes and cables and connecting together. But how that technology is used, what is the context of use of technology, and what is the relevance of technology in what the business is trying to do, that is what took us IT folks a learning curve to
Right.
speak the same language. Because you go to a sports coach and tell them IP address, they will not understand, but that is the challenge that we faced. You cannot go and tell a coach that I'll connect some sensors and you'll get everything. They said, please go away, because these coaches would have trained Olympic champions without technology and they would have won a medal for the country.
Right.
So,
Right.
that was the challenge that we faced. But because of the management support and the leadership vision and having a clarity on where we wanted to reach, that helped us to bring the business and the technology together and drive this transformation.
Right.
And come 2010, the World Cup was awarded to Qatar. So
Mhm.
from that time, it was a focus on the stadium and stadium technology, because 8 new stadiums were to be established,
Right.
and that's how we started. Because at that moment in time, Aspire Zone was the only team that was available who did technology for events. So we were supporting events, we were supporting sports students and sports medical professionals with
Mhm.
technology at that time. And it took, let's say, 5 to 6 years to drive the transformation. Although the initial platform for transformation was established over a period of 1.5, 2 years, but the overall transformation took shape and we delivered it over a period of 4 to 5 years. And it's still running. That's the we hosted and then after that, every activity that was done was with focus on the World Cup that was supposed to be happening in 2022. So it was a long journey, but the journey was sweet. The outcome was very sweet.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know what you did, what you achieved with Aspire Zone is not just innovation, it's like imagination in action. And it truly
Correct.
shows how technology can elevate human performance and not just measure it. So kudos on that success, sir. I mean,
Thank you very much,
that
Charu. I
was
think there
one
is
of
one.
yeah, I was just saying that was one of the only FIFA World Cups that I actually watched. So
Oh, that's nice. So no, again, I think over a period, what we should also understand, what we also realized, that over a period of time, the technology became a commodity item. I mean, when you say from when 2008 to 2015, if you look at it, technology
right,
started getting commoditized.
right,
So it was not just boxes. I mean, it was more of people, business focus that evolved over a period of time. So I mean, I consider myself fortunate enough to have been a part of that evolution of technology, that convergence of technology, rather, the phone and see, basically, if you look at that convergence, your phone and your computer converged, then
right.
if you step back and think on the technical side, what goes in a data center, your server, compute, and storage got converged. So everything was convergence of technology. Your business and technology converged. So it was a good journey, and I'm glad I was a part of that.
Absolutely, and you know what you achieved was incredible. So kudos on that
Thank you very much, Arif.
too. So the connected stadium concept for Qatar 2022 still fascinates tech leaders everywhere. Can you
Mhm.
take us inside that operation? How did you build a stadium that's not just smart but secure, responsive, and able to host tens of thousands of fans without a single glitch?
Sure. That's very interesting, because continuing from my role with Aspire Zone, when World Cup was awarded to Qatar, we were us. When I say us, a team of 13, 14 people from Aspire were nominated to work with the Supreme Committee on the technology strategy and delivering the technology. So at that time, we already had formed alliances with companies like Cisco, Microsoft, and all that, because nobody had a greenfield to test their technologies in sports.
Right,
The use of technology in sports was also evolving over the period of time. We were riding that wave.
right,
So, uh, Cisco was one of the first companies that initially had a connected stadium and a connected ecosystems concept in place
Okay.
as early as 2009, 2010. And Aspire was one of the first venues where they tested their technologies. And we were very much uh, working very closely with them so that we could do something wonderful even before the World Cup came. So as a natural course of action, when the World Cup was awarded and we were asked to form a strategy, what we did was, we know we have to build 8 stadiums over a period of 8-9 years when the World Cup comes. And every if you remember, if you recollect, the theme of the World Cup was experience amazing.
Right.
So when you say experience amazing, it on the hindsight, it means that you should have something in place that has not seen, the world has not seen yet.
Yes.
So
Yes.
to define that and define the technology, and also from, if you look from, if you wear a technical hat and think about it, you have to make sure that whatever runs in the stadium should be the latest technology that is reliable and stable. So we worked backwards. We formed a technology strategy, worked with Cisco, and came up with something like a service catalog per stadium. So
Okay.
this is and did a blueprint, complete blueprint, saying that okay, we will have these services. So we had a core set of services, we had value added services, you had ancillary services, and let the stadium builders or the stadium owners know that these are the things that we are going to establish in the stadium.
Mhm.
Having World Cup in a place like Qatar, we had the advantage because it's probably the only World Cup that was run in a single state where a person or a spectator or a fan could see 2 matches on the same day. If you look at the all the other World Cups, people had to fly between cities
Yes.
to watch two
Yes.
matches. But
Yes.
Qatar, as FIFA termed it, they called it as a compact World Cup because it was done in the same place. Someone could watch 2 matches on the same day. And the leadership was very clear. A fan going to Stadium A should have the same experience when he goes to Stadium B. Okay. If you go to Stadium C, it's the same experience that they need. So technology was not a challenge, actually. But delivering the technology and the experience to the people within the limits of what is allowed and what is not allowed.
Mhm.
Because when it comes to sports, FIFA and all that, there is a lot of compliance and other requirements that goes along with it. There is a lot of national security requirements because it's the entire nation is getting exposed and we had to work with all the federal agencies and others to make sure that these are delivered.
Right.
And uh, more than the actual outcome, the journey was the experience to reach there and to deliver. And on the hindsight, many people would think that since we worked on the technology, we would get to see all the matches in the stadium. No, that's wrong. We were in a dungeon. IT always gets the worst room in the stadium, in a dungeon with a set of 10, 12 screens, or in a control room. But we did manage to see some matches. But that's the truth. That's a fact. But it was probably, if you ask any of my colleagues, people who have worked in Aspire and people who have worked on the World Cup, the best time was when the World Cup actual event was happening,
Right.
although there was stress. Because if you look at the journey that we had to face a lot of obstacles because Corona hit in between
Yes.
2019,
Yes.
2020, 2021. There was still stadium work was happening. The work was happening in the stadiums. We
Right.
had to have people on the stadium. There were stadium shutdown situations. But we were able to showcase the technology in the best way. It was probably the one of the first World Cups where we used the concept of digital twins. We used the concept of crowd management. We could forecast and predict the crowd. The actual use of data analytics, we multiple technology on the same platform, integrated platform. All the technologies were used to deliver a business outcome. So this is how I would mention it. And by God's grace, all went well, and it's become a reference now.
Absolutely, hearing about behind the scenes pressure and the wins that you got really changed a person's perspective on how to look at. For us, it was just a stadium which was, which had all the technologies, but hearing about the experience and how it came alive has been really enlightening. And
So
uh,
they were actually, just to add to that, there were actually many aspects of a stadium operational management also that evolved out of this. Because
absolutely
every process within the stadium had a touch point with technology.
right.
And and that helps them. So if post every match, there was an analysis on the data on how people moved in, how the temperature in the stadium changed, how the crowd was managed. That helped to deliver the next match better,
Right. Right.
So that's it was not just dashboards and flashing lights and all that. It was actual the real data and numbers.
On the job training, sort of.
Yeah, correct.
Wow, wonderful. All this actually makes the result feel earned and not engineered. So thank you for sharing that with us.
No problem at all. Thanks. It was my pleasure. It's always good memories to talk about FIFA times.
Absolutely. And it is such an eye-opening experience for me as well, being a layman from this field, and it is such a interesting thing to learn about.
Yeah, I think it's basically, when we approach it, I mean, connecting back to the previous discussion about sports and technology, about the technology use in sports, it was for an IT professional coming into that segment, it was more of fear of unknown because we
Yes,
don't know the intricacies of where it's used. It's the
exactly.
same technology, it's the same equipment, the same technology,
Right,
the application is
right,
different, but what makes it unique is understanding the importance of the context, you know.
right,
So
right,
basically, if you just a classic example, putting some technology like how they say about cars, 0 to 100 in 3 seconds, that's 0 to 20,000 in half an hour is how the build up happens inside the fans build up into a stadium.
right,
So you
right,
have to make sure that your technology scales to that speed and level. Your Wi-Fi is supported. Your gates where they swipe the ticket has the capacity to handle that load. So that is the difference. I mean, and it's 90 minutes. I mean, 90 minutes, everything should run 100%. I mean, there is no room for any failure.
agreed, agreed.
So that is the relevance. That is the context and the relevance of any technology that supports an event or a stadium. You
Absolutely,
can say that everybody will say 99.5, 24/7. That's not needed. You need for that specific 90 minutes, everything should be up and running.
right,
So to make sure that that is delivered, that is the criticality of technology in sports.
right, right. And you know what? You did not have a reference point uh, for
No,
for
we were
everything.
building
You
a
do now a
we
reference
were
point.
building a reference point.
Yes,
So
yes. So wonderful work, wonderful. So at Connect Secure, you led cyber risk strategies and compliance across frameworks like GDPR, HIPAA, and ISO 27001. For organizations listening today, what's the one principle that separates companies that think they're secure from those that actually are?
oh, that's a good one. Because most, like how you said, most of the companies think they are very secure because they have the checklist ticked 1, 2, 3, 4. I have this, I have everything, I have a secure lock. But what they don't realize is their back door is open.
Yes.
Just put it very simply. So there was a time when, like let's say 5, 10 years back, there was a time when the security was or compliance was more hardware oriented. Or I have 10 firewalls, I'm secure. I build a fort, I can. Now, the threat landscape has increased so much that anything, I mean, any your end users or your staff phone that's connected to the network could be a source of entry to an attacker. Okay, so now let's keep the technical aspects aside. Let's look at how technology has evolved now, or the compliance sector has evolved or converged. Now it's become mandatory that you have to be compliant to certain standards.
Right.
Now
Right.
what I have seen over the period of years is people say that, okay, I have this new standards, these are the checklists, I have to implement everything. What they fail to do is compare and look at what I already have. So usual course of action is I engage a consultant, I bring a consultant on board, then I say I'm certified. But what they do is they don't look at what they already have, what they have implemented. Is that sufficient? So there is one aspect of securing your environment. There is second aspect of regulatory reporting. If you look at GDPR and HIPAA and all of the regulatory reporting side as well, you should put controls that satisfies both, not a checklist.
Right.
So and in this journey, what they fail to do, some of the people fail to do is inject security into the organizational culture. So that is key. You have people who are doing it just for the sake of doing it, or finishing a checklist is not sufficient from the security. And in most of the cases, the users are the weakest link that you find in an organization. The users are the weakest link. And the senior management becomes aware. I mean, I'm not talking about all senior management. I do have enough respect because I understand to what level they operate. They can't get into transactional details. They get to know about these weakest link only when they are hit with a fine or a ransomware attack or something like that. So you have to have some occurrence of a security incident for them to understand the relevance of how information security is.
Right.
On the hindsight, what I've seen in many organizations is the security moving from a regular transactional technical job to a CISO making it to a boardroom agenda. Like the boardrooms have started considering getting cyber insurances, looking at what is the potential threats that we are facing right now, what is our exposure level. So it's up to the security professionals in the organization to bring the board also to up to speed to understand what it is. So it's more of security as a practice is more of a culture of an organization than a mere transaction element that you look at. And I think that's where organizations are leading to. So again, I go back to my favorite term, convergence. You see that the technologies that sat in data centers as firewalls and all that, it's gone beyond that. It's getting integrated with business, and that gap is converging, and it's reaching the boardroom as one of the major items that's discussed at a boardroom level. And I think that's where it should be.
Absolutely.
That's how, and because it's again a critical item that everybody needs to look at from the business standpoint, more rather than an IT and technology standpoint. So that's been a learning that and that's been the experience working on those standards and things with MSPs and other clients.
I just wanted to add on something. When you're talking about end users being the weakest link, it also happens that a lot of time people working on something don't know the impact of it. So they should also be educated on the impact of not doing something correctly.
Yeah. So that's why I said, when I said inject into the culture of the organization, inject that awareness into the culture of organization, this is what I meant. Because see, if I do this, this is the impact on me, and this is the impact on my business or the company that pays me. That should be very clear.
Right. So as you correctly says, culture over compliance, and that's actually
to the extent that the compliance become a culture.
Flip the tick box approach to security. It's all about building that culture from inside. Absolutely. All right. Time for the part everyone looks forward to, our rapid fire round. No tech, no transformation talk, just quick questions and even quicker answers. Ready?
Sure. Yep.
Okay, let's go. The first one. What's the first thing you do when you wake up?
I check the time to make sure that I didn't oversleep. That's what I do every day.
Wow, okay. Your comfort food after a long day?
After a long day, I would prefer any Asian meal. Asian, Southeast Asian, Indian meal. That's what, makes me feel comfortable. It's like,
okay, next one. One hobby that instantly relaxes you?
Music. I'm a music buff. I listen to a lot of 70s, 80s rock, and that's what relaxes me. I mean, it's like you enable a switch. You just switch immediately when I listen to music.
Wow, wonderful. That's really nice. Okay, next one. One movie you watched way too many times?
Shawshank Redemption.
That's a nice one.
Yes.
Okay, next one. One app you can't imagine a day without?
I think for now it'll be WhatsApp, because I'm connected with my family over WhatsApp. My brother, my cousins, the entire family is on that. I think for now that'll be the one.
That'll be the one. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Next one. Your favorite travel destination, the one that always recharges you?
My hometown.
Hometown?
So during the FIFA days, when I used to get stressed out, I would just go for a weekend, sleep there at home, and come back recharged for another 4 weeks.
That is so nice. Okay, that's really nice to hear.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, a song that never fails to lift your mood.
Sultans of Swing, Mark Knopfler.
Sorry?
Sultans of Swing by Mark Knopfler.
Nice.
Nice traits. I mean, yeah.
Okay, next one. Morning person or a night owl?
I'm a night owl.
Night owl.
That's why I always check my watch,
Yeah,
whether I didn't
I was
overslept.
just about to say that. That's the reason the morning activity is checking.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, your all-time favorite sport or sports person?
I think Sachin has to be my all-time favorite sports person, and I used to watch a lot of cricket. So I used to
Oh,
be
nice.
growing up.
And
We used to
sports
watch a lot of cricket, and Sachin is the Sunil
Sachin
Gavaskar and Sachin. I mean, it started with Sunil Gavaskar and Sachin.
and then Sachin. Okay, great. All right, last one. If your life had a title, what would it be?
And life goes on.
That is nice. That is really nice. Wonderful. You know what? This I really like this round because you get to know the person behind the professional. So thank you so much for being so candid and honest with us.
Yeah, I've been 100% honest.
So, Mr. Kottekkat, every industry has those wake-up calls, moments that force us to pause and ask difficult questions. In the world of technology and cybersecurity, we've seen our fair share. Data breaches, compliance lapses, and governance breakdowns that shook public trust. When you look at these episodes globally, what do you think is the biggest lesson for leaders today? And personally, what have they taught us about ethics, transparency, and doing the right thing when no one's watching?
Okay, that's a very, very deep question if you ask me. So I think you mentioned the three key words, ethics, transparency, and doing the right thing when no one is watching. Because we have reached a time where technology is, yeah, I mean, you cannot survive without technology. And how you use it actually matters with AI and things like that coming in. There is a lot of confusion in the market. Everybody says that they want to use AI, but they don't know what to do with AI. So
Right.
they don't have a genuine business case to use AI. People are threatened because of the jobs, of their jobs, because they think that AI will replace the job. So yeah, but let's take a few steps back. The governance is key. Transparency is key at every level in an organization.
Right.
If the organization is built on few fundamental principles, and the promoters of the organization, or the management of the organization is able to percolate that to the lowermost level of the organization, then you have a successful organization. So, for example, we started talking about compliance way back when the Enron issue happened,
Yes.
and that's when the SOX compliance became a main thing. It's all about, if you look at most of the issues that have happened related to governance, it's due to lack of transparency and collusion.
Yes.
So whenever anyone is talking about a fraud, mostly a financial fraud, it's usually collusion at some level and lack of transparency at that level, that which created that. So
Right.
by bringing in all the compliance standards and the reporting standards, what we're trying to bring in is put a regulatory framework around it that develops transparency and compliance. But then there is another side with the development in technology on how these threat actors are attacking the organization, stealing data, and then data breaches become a common issue now. All the major breaches that recently, I think Fly Dubai here locally had some issue. I'm not too sure. Was it Fly Dubai or some other airlines? Then there was an issue with the Delta Airlines or something last year. British Airways had some issue.
Mhm.
So there is a set of group that is specifically getting the data and selling the data and making money out of it. There, you cannot talk about ethics there, but for them that's a business model. But what I'm trying to say is that not to promote that kind of business, but whatever you have, secure it in the best way you can. I mean, it's reached a stage where there is no 100% security. I mean, you can't say that you're 100% secure. You are insecure as long as you have data residing somewhere. You are insecure. There is potential chance that will be attacked, but we put all the safeguards in place. I mean, it's like your home. You build your home, you put locks, you lock the gate. Even then, you have a chance somebody will break in. It's a similar situation. So one way to prevent it within the organization from data leak and all that is to build in that culture in the organization to have transparency, to
Right.
adhere to policies. I mean, when the employees or the staff say that are asked to adhere to a policy, they should understand the impact. If I don't adhere to policy, it doesn't mean that you lose your job, but you lose your job and you will bring the company down. You don't adhere to policy and you deviate from the policy from what you said, what you're not supposed to do.
Right. Right.
So that this is where I see ethics, governance, and transparency are three key elements that it has to be imbibed into the DNA of every organization. The standards can come later, but these are fundamental values that has to be imbibed into the DNA of every organization. On a different note, I tell people that over 20, 25 years of experience, what I have learned is what not to do. Not what to do. I always tell this to me. I mean, I sound like a parrot, but I've just had a conversation with someone yesterday. I saw the same thing. What we learn over a period of time, what we learn with the experience is what you should not do because we have made enough mistakes and
Right.
learn from it.
Right.
So this is the thing. I mean, these three things: governance, ethics, and transparency has to be the fundamental thing in the DNA of every organization, and it has to bottom up to top down. It has to be on the same set of values and principles that the organization build and driven.
Absolutely, sir. You know what you said, it truly proves that trust is really fragile and to continuously keep building that. And as
Yeah,
you rightly said, you have to build a culture of transparency, ethics, and governance.
absolutely,
It should not be just, as we were talking about in the previous question, it should not be just a tick in box exercise, but it should be in your DNA. It should come from within.
absolutely correct.
Right, right. Okay, all right.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. So you've recently been associated with Directors Institute World Council of Directors, which is where this conversation beautifully comes full circle. What drew you to join the institute in the first place? And now that you're part of it, how has that experience shaped the way you look at leadership, governance, and decision making at the board level?
Right. So the main reason I joined the Director Institute, what attracted me was I never knew such a thing existed. Like I knew I've been a board secretary, I've driven the board meetings and all. When I was a part of Intaleq, I was driving the board meetings and all. I knew what happens in the board.
Right,
I know what happens in the board. But now after working for so many years, you feel that you can contribute more to diverse kind of industries, not just one industry or one term.
right,
So when I came to read about Directors Institute and what they do and how they shape up the thought process, so it's more of aligning what you have learned and experienced in so many years into structured thought process. This is how I would define it, and that could help other companies or entities where you appear as an independent director to give an independent opinion on what you have learned so far, which
right.
could contribute to their business or their activity, whatever they're trying to do. So that was one reason that uh, I thought, okay, let's do this and see how I can put a more structured way of approaching different businesses, not just one set of business or activity. See, all technology, whatever you say, AI, everything is a commodity, but the context and the applicability is what makes it different for different businesses.
Agreed. Agreed.
And also, what attracted me was the inclusion of ESG because everything is going in that direction. Because most of the people forget the fact completely about ESG and go ahead and do it. I'm not blaming them, but it's again the lack of exposure that they might have. So
Absolutely.
so my main agenda of joining Directors Institute was to get a structured framework through which I can contribute and more than a leader, become a steward, for the board of directors and take it forward. That was the idea of joining the Directors Institute.
Wow, wow, wonderful. That is so beautifully put. And what inspires me most is that you have such an extensive experience, but you're still looking to learn new things and sort of gain new skills, and you're open to unlearning and learning again. So, congratulations on that, and I wish you all the very best for your
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was nice chatting with you. It was a great conversation, and thank you so much for your time.
Same here, Mr. Kottekkat. This has truly been an enlightening conversation. What stood out to me today is how you've shown that technology, when guided by vision and integrity, becomes more than just an enabler. It becomes a force for trust, transformation, and lasting impact. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your stories, and your perspective with us here on FaceTime with Leaders, powered by Directors Institute World Council of Directors. It's been an absolute pleasure having you with us today.
The pleasure was mine. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. To everyone listening, I hope today's episode reminded you that real leadership isn't about speed or scale, but about purpose, foresight, and the courage to do the right thing when it matters most. I'm Charu Mehra, and until next time, stay curious, keep innovating, and as always, lead with integrity. Thank you.